If you only saw the silhouettes, could you still say, that's Brazil? Today, we hunt the buildings you recognize instantly, and why. Brazilian architecture commits to bold shapes, curves, crowns, arms, waves, so your brain remembers them like a logo.
Brazil is vast, and its cities speak different dialects of design. Coastal icons, megacity towers, and a capital built from scratch inland.
Our route is simple. See it, recognize it, ask why it looks that way, how it was built, where costs hide, and what it symbolizes.
First stop, Brasília. Modernism on a monumental scale, built with urgency, geometry, and faith in the future.
Even from above, Brasília looks planned. Power laid out as lines, plazas, and sculptural buildings set in open space.
Brasília wasn't a city that grew. It was declared, built fast in the late 1950s to move the capital inland.
The ambition was national, modernize, decentralize, and prove Brazil could design a new center of gravity.
The signature material is reinforced concrete, moldable, strong, and perfect for dramatic shapes built on a tight schedule.
Concrete here behaves like sculpture. Thin columns, floating roofs, long ramps, forms that read clearly against an empty sky.
This is choreography. Long axes and symmetry make you feel the state as you walk. Order, distance, and control. And behind the monuments, daily life sits in planned blocks. An urban machine designed for cars, scale, and separation.
Why so much open space? Because emptiness is part of the message. Buildings become symbols when nothing competes with them.
Scale is deliberate. You feel small, and that feeling tells you this place represents more than one person.
Where did the money go? Not only into facades, into roads, power, water, sewage, and moving everything to a place that wasn't a metropolis yet.
Infrastructure is the hidden bill. You can't photograph it easily, but it's the reason a planned capital survives.
Now the memory hook, the cathedral. 16 concrete columns forming a crown, like hands rising into the light.
From far away, it's pure silhouette, simple, unmistakable, and impossible to confuse with anything else.
But here's the twist. You descend to enter. Much of the space sits below ground, so you walk down into brightness. It's engineering and theater together. Structure above, calm below, and light used like a material.
Building a curve costs money at the joints. Custom formwork, careful alignment, and concrete finishing that must look flawless up close.
The expensive craft is the mold. Once the form exists, concrete can do almost anything, but the form is labor.
Ramps and promenades turn buildings into experiences. Power isn't just seen here, it's approached.
Even water becomes architecture. Reflecting pools soften concrete and double the monument in your memory.
Brasília doesn't whisper, it declares. We are modern, intentional, and built to be recognized.
And speaking of silhouettes, next, the simplest outline in Brazil. 2 arms, 1 mountain, 1 city.
Christ the Redeemer isn't just a statue. It's a city-scale signpost, placed high so Rio has a guardian you can spot for miles.
The form is intentionally simple, bold geometry that reads instantly, even when the weather hides the details.
Up close, it's not smooth at all. The outer skin is thousands of soapstone pieces, chosen to resist weather and glow gently.
Inside, reinforced concrete carries the load. Outside, the stone cladding is hand-applied. Precision work on a mountain.
Mountaintop icons have hidden costs. Transport, safety, scaffolding, and time, because every task is harder at altitude.
Maintenance is part of the budget too. Height attracts lightning, and stone seams must be checked again and again.
Symbolically, the arms do one thing perfectly. They frame the landscape, turning Rio itself into the setting of the monument.
Now we jump to São Paulo, where the icon isn't a statue, it's a wave of apartments that became a skyline signature.
Meet Copan, one continuous curve of concrete, big enough to feel like a neighborhood stacked into a single address. You recognize it because it moves like a line drawn in one breath, an S shape that reads from blocks away. The curve isn't only aesthetic, it organizes light, shade, and sightlines, making an enormous building feel legible.
Where does money go here? Vertical life. Elevators, shafts, services, and the systems.
Those horizontal bands act like a climate tool, filtering sun, reducing glare, and giving the building its unforgettable rhythm. Copan is modern Brazil in one frame. Bold form, dense city energy, and architecture trying to shape how people live together.
From megacity density to waterfront futurism, Rio's Museum of Tomorrow looks like a living machine built for the next century.
Before you enter, the building does its job. It makes you feel forward-looking, as if the future has a physical address.
Its long roof cantilevers like a wing. That kind of reach is beautiful, but it's also where engineering gets expensive.
Cost concentrates in custom parts, steel fabrication, connections, and any moving elements that must survive heat, salt air, and time. A futuristic curve doesn't forgive mistakes. Precision means specialized labor, tight tolerances, and careful sequencing on site.
Even the name, Tomorrow, signals the message. Brazil isn't only celebrating history, it's debating this is national branding through architecture. Make a shape that photographs like a symbol, and the symbol travels worldwide.
Now, a sharp contrast. Before concrete dreams, Brazil built identity in stone, wood, and gold-era Baroque towns. Welcome to Ouro Preto, where steep streets and ornate churches remember the mining wealth that reshaped colonial Brazil.
Thanks, walls. Here, the silhouette isn't futuristic. It's layered roofs, towers, and carved facades.
Baroque costs money in ornament, carving, painting, gilding, and craft that can't be rushed without losing its soul. The expensive parts are the details: gold leaf, pigments, woodwork, hours of labor that turn faith into visual power. One unforgettable symbol is the Church of St. Francis of Assisi, Rococo curves and sculpted stone associated with Aleijadinho's legacy.
Up close, you can read the economy of craft, where a chisel dug deeper, where paint layered, where gold was reserved for the altar.
Ouro Preto's power is place. The town itself becomes the monument, and its architecture feels inseparable from the hills. One last silhouette postcard. Across the bay from Rio, a museum that looks like a flying saucer on a cliff.
The Nidori Contemporary Art Museum is pure outline, a disc, a stem, and a ramp, architecture designed to frame the city like cinema.
Its cost hides in curves again. Custom concrete, careful waterproofing, and a site where every delivery and pour is complicated by terrain.
Inside, the curve continues, quiet galleries wrapped around a view. The building doesn't compete with...
On cliff sites, cost rises in foundations and waterproofing. Gravity is always present, so every joint and seal must be exact. Different eras, same strategy. Choose a shape that reads instantly, then invest in structure, craft, and maintenance to keep the symbol alive.
Curves look effortless, but they're bought with labor. The formwork is the real sculpture, built first, then removed like a secret.
And iconic capitals still need ordinary life. Housing, schools, streets, and services. Costs that never appear in a postcard photo.
That's why Brasília feels surreal. Vast civic emptiness amplified the buildings, turning architecture into a national emblem.
At Christ the Redeemer, the same principle holds. Distance gives you the symbol, but closeness reveals the handcrafted skin.
Maintenance is an ongoing budget line. Every small tile is a potential weakness, so inspection becomes part of the monument's life.
In São Paulo, Copan's wave becomes a lighthouse of windows, proof that the icon isn't only form, it's lived in density.
The costly parts are hidden: plumbing stacks, wiring, elevators, fire systems. The facade is the face, the services are the body.
Futuristic museums also spend money on comfort, shade, airflow, and durable finishes, because the climate tests every surface.
Near the ocean, corrosion is constant. Protective coatings, stainless fixings, and upkeep quietly decide whether the future still looks new. In Ouro Preto, you can watch value become visible. Gold leaf laid by hand, where time and skill are the real currency.
And preservation has its own costs. Cleaning, structural repair, paint conservation.
These outlines work because they're readable in one glance, simple geometry amplified by scale, setting, and repetition in the skyline.
Recognition is design. Brazil turns buildings into mental stamps. so a single curve or crown can trigger an entire country in your mind.
And behind every symbol are ordinary lives, moving through these spaces daily, giving monuments their true meaning.
So the next time you see Brazil, look for the silhouette first. It's the fastest shortcut into the story.
Think of each landmark in 4 questions: what you recognize, why it is shaped that way, how it is built, and where complexity makes it expensive. Notice the pattern. Brazil chooses shapes that read from far away, then reinforces them with engineering, craft, and storytelling.
Next time you spot one of these outlines, you'll know what it is, why it looks that way, how it was built, and where the real costs hide.